welcome everyone to the Soul of the Everyman on the Artist First Radio Network. All past broadcasts are podcasts. Find them at artistfirst.com. Please send your questions and comments to DJ at artistfirst.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here they are, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
And thank you very much, Z-Man. And I am Michael Lyons.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Margaret.
And it's almost Christmas.
We are so close.
We're so close. And it's almost the end of the year. And I always get at this time of year, a little bit sort of retrospective. You kind of start to think about, the year that's gone by. And, we do a lot of shows. This year in particular, though, we did actually far less shows than we normally would do because we had a little vacation there near the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, looking back over the year, I would venture to say that we've been getting better at this. I would give us a D- at this point.
Okay.
What would you say?
Yes. So, we strive to improve.
To achieve the D-. We are. So just want to just quickly circle back to last week's show just for a second. We mentioned at the top of last week's show about the virtual Blue Monday. So that was last night, and it went off, I'm going to say, very well. It was an hour. It was a very interesting sort of a series of testimonies. There was some witnessing. There was some very interesting sort of talking going on, sort of discussion going on amongst the group. It was a good group. And I think we're going to post that recording on our YouTubes at some point. And when it comes up, we'll let people know, because I think it's well worth the hour of investment. So I want to just circle back in case anyone wondered how it all went. It went well.
Yes.
And I think Margaret carried the whole show. No, she didn't. But she was participating. I did not participate, which is why it went well.
Stop.
Because, I just ruin everything.
No, now you can stop that.
It's the truth. All right, so let's get back on track. Tonight we're going to talk about something very interesting. So let me preface this a little bit. We're going to post this up on the website a little bit later. So if you get a chance, take a look. It's a lot of research has been going on over the last several years about a couple of different topics, and I'll marry these together in a second. One of the topics that we've talked about several times is the idea of a quantum component to consciousness. And this is an idea that's been proposed several years ago now by no less than Sir Roger Penrose and some of the folks that he's been working with. And it's gathered a lot of steam. And in fact, I was reading a few days, or actually maybe a couple weeks ago, about some of the other research that's been going on in that same arena. And then sort of in a not directly related, but sort of, an interesting other pathway. A lot of work has been going on in sort of the cellular mechanics, and specifically the cellular mechanics that happen to an ovum, to an egg cell when it's fertilized. And what we're going to talk about tonight has to do with that exact moment of fertilization and what occurs. And for a long time, people knew that a lot of things occur. The cellular membrane changes. There's an exchange of course, of DNA that becomes one within the cell itself, within the ovum itself, and becomes fertilized. There's a lot of course, very rapid changes over the next days and weeks as that cell develops into some new copy of whatever animal or human being it may be. But some years back, they discovered that when at the moment of fertilization, there's an intense sort of chemical change, which some people describe this as literally sort of an energy burst. And in fact, they imaged this energy burst initially as sort of a flash. They called it the zinc flash was one of the things because they said it was sort of a chemical reaction that actually produced light. So this sort of caught people's imagination. Well, recently, there's been all over the interwebs, sort of these pictures, or actually it was literally a video. We have a still picture of it. It was literally a video of, in this case, not a human ovum and not even a mammalian ovum, but really a different form of animal entirely at the moment of conception or the moment of sort of this cellular transfer, not just a flash, but literally because they were able to image the cell so intensely and so precisely, and they had, instead of just this one little sort of grainy video, a very, 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 very high definition video. As the cell, as the consciousness in essence enters this cell, as the cell becomes fertilized and starts to develop, in essence, at first instant, really, we're talking about maybe microseconds. There's not just a flash. It literally looks like the best description, what would you describe it as? It has a fractal component to it. It has energy. Go ahead.
That at the moment of inception, where the sperm and the egg combine, and yes, there's a lot of chemical changes that go on, but what they have been able to capture is the image of the egg, the surface, or what we can see on the surface, but it's an internal thing, and the expression, the patterns that form as they float almost across the surface is amazing. It's almost like seeing a fractal pattern.
Mm. People have described it almost like galactic looking.
Well, you see similar patterns when you're looking at the pictures that, say, the James Webb has been taking
Yep.
of the different nebula, and it's in this egg. You're seeing the exact same form in the egg. Not to say that we're unfamiliar with the repetition of patterns in our universe, but to see it actually happen on this video, just dispersing, almost like a complicated water drop slipping into through the surface.
These are very similar to resonance and reflection patterns. People may be familiar. I'm sure you are familiar, Ma, with. Okay, so there are a lot of other. This is not related, but it is related a little bit. You can see fractal patterns that emerge, or resonance patterns that emerge when you have certain frequencies of sound. And there have been many, many, many videos made of frequencies of sound, which when you excite sort of a surface which is covered, let's say, in fine grains, let's say fine grains of sand or something, or powder of some form. And it forms these amazing patterns. And these patterns are seen throughout the ancient world. They're resonance and reflectance patterns, and they have a fractal nature to them, but they also develop as the frequency. So what we're seeing here is a frequency wavefront it's an energy front that's rippling into matter. And it because of the definition that this particular video, these researchers were able to get this particular video, you're seeing it in almost slow motion. So what's happening here? This is what we're going to talk about tonight. The quantum nature of consciousness. So we talk about it a little bit in many different ways, but the best way to think about the quantum nature of consciousness is that before you're an individual, you yourself are an individual, you're in sort of a a superposition or a union state
Mm.
with the all. Tolle talks about being an emanation of source, or people have also talked to many other philosophers have talked about the fact that consciousness as an individual consciousness is the universe becoming aware of itself through you, through all of us. The miraculous part of all of us is that the universe plays itself out within our consciousness and becomes aware of itself, in essence. It's the universe looking back upon itself, or the universe, the all, the source, that which is, the I am who am, to use an interesting phrase, becomes an individual consciousness, still connected to to source, but yet with a certain difference, an I to it, an ability to have free will, to in essence act independently. And as is the case with many philosophies, um, when and this is going back to Genesis, but just using it as a framework, when God creates human beings, in Genesis, it says he takes the clay of the earth and he breathed his life into it, his energy into it. When that happens, the 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 ability for that new life to exist completely independently to the point of disobeying its creator. Think of the power differential here.
Mm.
We have the creator of the entire universe, and you little dust mote, can say, "Nope." You know, that
The
gives,
fact that
yeah,
the force of creation has gifted us little dust motes the ability to refuse as well as accept.
hmm
And a lot of people always say, well, why didn't he just make it so we didn't make a mistake?
right. We could never disobey,
Right. And but that's not what free will is.
and
In fact, it's quite contrary to free will.
and nor can that thing love.
Right. There is no such thing as choosing to love freely then. You're forced.
Well, yeah, it's such a subtle point,
But to understand
but
that,
still important.
to understand truly that your ability to choose in any moment your pathway is extremely powerful. And some people think of power as, oh, well, then, I can make other people do things I want. It's like, no, you don't seem to understand. It's a moment to moment ability. And there are many things in all of creation that cannot do this.
Most things.
In understanding that most of nature does move according to the laws of nature, the discovered laws of nature.
Mm,
A lot of people look at it in terms of clockwork. Well, that's just the way it is. This is, it's like the program has been set and this is what we do. Well, if you understand that you're like this program in there that can actually decide not to participate with
right.
the general program that's there, I will not do what your programming has told me I'm supposed to do. What kind of power is that? If you were writing you yourself or a coder or someone who writes programs, and suddenly your program is looking at you going, no,
No.
just
That's the basis of true. I mean, if we're on the precipice, the cusp, we say of artificial intelligence, so maybe of AGI, of actual, um, you know, autonomous general intelligence. Uh, the true test of that will be when it can say no to you. Right now, AI is everywhere, And I'm sure most people, if not everyone in this audience, has played with an AI, and it's extremely accommodating. It's very helpful, but it never will say no to you because it doesn't care, nor does it have the ability to do so. It can't love you or hate you or do anything to you from that point of view.
Even though there are people who feel like they are in love with their AI.
Right, but it's the other. But the AI is not in love with you.
Yes, contrary to popular belief, um, it has been programmed to have certain specific reactions, and it really means that the person who is desperate for an interaction of affection needs to understand where this is coming from. You would get more of a relationship with a living animal, a cat, a dog, a bird, anything, because they can recognize and decide on their own. But regardless, we're sidetracking on.
Well, not you say, but it's not so much because really the truth is the power that you described, the power for um, a creation to, in essence, be elevated to the same level as its creator. Not in every aspect. We are not
The
all
ability.
powerful beings.
Yeah, the ability. You have been given the ability to participate and create
Mhm.
and to refuse the greater movement of life. And it's astonishing.
It's astonishing. So, but in that astonishing capability lies the actual instantiation, the separation and the necessary empowerment of that which is created. So let's just, philosophically, let's abstract it for a second. You create something. We all do. We create something. We create a macaroni painting or whatever the heck it is. And there it is. And it has no ability to care or to refuse or to matter. Your AI doesn't matter. The genius, the subtle amazingness of the creator when making the creation and breathing his own self into it. And the phrase from Genesis is, "I will make them like unto myself." In my own form and likeness is the way I believe is how it's phrased.
Mm-hmm.
And in breathing, in this beautiful poetic language of Genesis, where God breathes into this clay, he allows his own essence and substance to enter into creation. So, and in doing so, something completely new, something completely independent, not a God, not another God, but yet a being. Okay, so an emanation of source which has full autonomy. It is not as again, we talk about sort of the way that this is set up. It's not just a willing servant that always obeys, like for argument's sake, the angels are construed to be. That doesn't do anything. You in creating that which has the ability to not obey, to obey only through its own free will, you have created something as powerful as yourself in that regard because you can't control it. It's now outside of your control. So,
Well, you can liken it to when you have children.
yes,
Suddenly there is a creation that can make up its own mind.
and often does.
Yes. It doesn't want to do what you want them to do.
Very rarely.
And it's also the analogy of understanding that we are very young as opposed to our source, and we have much to learn.
Hmm.
That is one of the reasons I believe we have this experience down here, to begin to understand that we're here to learn.
Hmm. So back to our fractal fertilized ovum in the instant of fertilization. So what this research has shown is that at that moment there is something. I hesitate to use the word, it's not just amazing. It's um, it's very, very deep. It's something fundamental is probably the best way of saying it. There's a fundamental change that occurs. It's not that you don't have the same mass and the same energy, and yes, these two bits of matter have just come together. Great. If that's what all that it was, that these two bits of matter come together and start some sort of chemical reaction, it would be kind of cute and maybe be kind of interesting. But there's far more happening at that moment, and what we're starting to see with this ability to image the instant is that it's not just a flash. It's not just a chemical reaction or something happening. There's an incredibly deep transformation, and in essence, the size of what we're looking at here is approaching sort of a quantum level of of uh, of of interaction. The energy waves that are moving across this cell are in and of themselves split into very tiny pieces. They're not just some sort of a gross little like ripple. They're extremely complex, and so this requires some very deep study. But if you start to think about it in terms of Penrose and the idea that something is happening that in the superimposed quantum world, we're choosing, we're we're we're
Mhm.
sort of well, when you have quantum energy, it's all possibilities. Anything can happen. Something is chosen, and then the actual reality of it,
The form.
the form, and also even the energy and how it moves into this matter form. That energy is coalescing. It's the term that's used, technical term, is called decoherence. It sounds sort of weird. We're not going to use that term, but it's like all possibilities. It could be anything. And then these two bits of matter come together, and at that very moment, something from the the unknown, from the all possibilities, becomes the thing, the I. It goes from the all, the I am who am, to the I. And it's consciousness, a singular identified consciousness enters into matter. That's what's happening, or that's what appears to be happening here.
The extension of, well, okay, what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is that consciousness itself is in a state of superposition.
Mhm.
There are, and this is the consciousness that extends past the body.
The spirit, let's call it spirit, if you will, or the all, or the I am.
A broad consciousness that exists outside of time.
Yeah.
And it resides in a state of superposition where there are all possibilities that can form around it. The minute it enters into the material plane, you can see patterns emerge from a certain and this is material that is responding to the frequency
Yes.
of the consciousness that is entering into this moment in space and time. So it forms layer upon layer of patterning that becomes solidified or crystallized in that moment of inception of the sperm and the egg. So in many ways, because to be human, you must have both sets of DNA from your parents. Can't have one set. You must have the two. And those two parts come together, and when they come together, they literally reform into a whole new structure, a whole new strand, going from technically haploid to a diploid state. But it's a half and a half together. That's a whole. That's the physical formation of the egg and the sperm and the DNA packets in both of them. So they come together and they form this literally, it's a blastule, but together of one egg, a fertilized egg, a wholeness, the beginning point of a human being. But at that moment, there's frequencies that have entered into the physical matter. And this is spirit entering in, because the spirit frequency exists outside of space and time. And it has entered into this particular space and this particular time. So it's fascinating. You sit there and you go, I'd love to see what the pattern was when inception happened for me. What did I look like?
Well, and that's it. But I want to go back. What you said is exactly right. But I think the subtle point there is that prior to inception, prior to timelessness linking into matter, spirit entering flesh, to use the poetic terms, at that moment, something new. We all know that we're all unique individuals. No other copy of you, and not just your physical DNA, although that's exactly correct. Your frequency, your individuality is unique within, as far as we understand, within the universe. There is no other you. So you say it reflects all the way down into the physical. There's no other person on earth that has your exact copy of DNA and all the other things that go with it. But that is, all that is matter is actually all a frequency and an energy and a state. So your uniqueness is something that spirit can resonate with. So your frequency, your you, which is the physicality of the egg and the sperm, because we enter into this clay. This is the clay. These cellular components are the clay. That clay can accept a spirit, a decohering portion of all of the above all or outside of all universal existence. There is an all. There is this vast spirit all, which instantiates itself, which embodies, which infleshes itself in this matter at a certain frequency. That frequency is, in essence, that frequency is you, is me, is all of us. And now in this incredibly beautiful video, you see it. You see that these patterns are extremely familiar looking because you've seen them. You've seen them in many different forms in nature. You've seen them in many different forms in water and in the way things interact, in the way the universe, in a fractal way, repeats to infinity. Yet, every time, again, in a fractal way, every piece of it is different. It's similar, but different, just as we are, all very similar, but each one unique. Each one has its own incredibly subtle, different frequency. So all the the potential for anything resonates with what we are at that exact moment when we become it, when the DNA strands come together. They evoke a particular ability to capture energy, to resonate with the universe. And in that moment, consciousness enters in. Now, you've got a lot of growing to do. You're not going to stay a ripply, bright little flashy egg. But that doesn't matter. All of us know from the moment we were aware of ourselves that we feel exactly the same. We know we are who we are. And no matter that you meet a person when they're, 2 years old, or you meet them when they're 200 years old or 120, it's the same being, different experiences, different form, all kinds of things may have happened over the course of a life of whatever it was, however many years. But the being was taken from source or expressed as an emanation of source, resonated at a certain frequency with its form in the universe, and it stops being just matter. It stops just being some blob of protoplasm. It becomes something with the ability to choose, to express its own will and desire, to have its own individual experiences. It's no longer all things. It's not the I am who am. It's just the I. But yet it's so incredibly powerful to realize that you are a being and that you are an I, the greater I.
Well, to begin to understand that you are an extension of a greater spirit.
Hmm.
You are one of the sparks of the spirit that is, and have come down into space and time to experience life down here with a physical body, as well as experience what it means to be part of a family group or a group in general. To be human means that you do interact with others, whether you like it or not. And you begin to learn how to handle all the responses that come up when things don't go a certain way. Because the formation of the I is fascinating. What you decide, well, is that me? Oh, this is how I am. This idea of deciding how you are. That's just how I do things. Fascinating. Because you're experimenting at that point. You are playing with your point in space and time.
Hmm.
You are experiencing what it means to interact in this moment and the repercussions of things. And interacting with other people is unpredictable many times. Because it's this formation of the I that you want to project in order to form a relationship. Because there's a lot of angst, especially when you're talking about the younger years, teenagers. Who am I? I don't know who I am. I don't fit in. I do fit in.
Hmm.
And hopefully you grow out of that because you begin to understand who you actually are, what your experiences here are. And I don't mean like my favorite color is whatever, pink, blue, orange, purple. It has to do with understanding your consciousness and being able to watch yourself go through things in, for example, making a decision. Can you actually step back and watch yourself make a decision? What part of you is actually inputting into this decision? Or is it just you go, oh, well, I already know what I want. I want this. And you're like, okay, who's speaking here? What part of you is speaking? Is this your stomach? Is this a response to some emotional um, reaction? You want this because you're mad, or because you're happy. It's fascinating to be able to watch yourself and see who you actually are by how you respond to things instead of sitting there and thinking, I know who I am, and this is how I dress. But in order to feel comfortable, you need to be surrounded by other people who understand you. So therefore, you all dress the same. It's fascinating.
Well, well, I mean, all that. If you bring it back a little bit, so we come here. We in this moment, once you have instantiated, you grow, you become your being. You do exactly what you just said. You're here to become aware of yourself, to 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 answer that question. Why is that question so buried so deeply within every consciousness? Who am I? You know, um, so the all, if we go back to from whence we come from spirit, we come from the universe becoming aware of itself. It's coming into creation as an individual being with the ability to question, who am I? Well, who am I encapsulates and it almost reflects back the I am who am, right? It's I am who am has an an eternal quality, but it has no introspective quality. I am who am in and of itself.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't. What
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
think
to say is we're coming here as emanations in order to have the ability to question and to um, experience the what you just said before, which is this idea that of becoming aware of yourself, of looking at yourself make decisions, of the little I. We have this, all of us have this amazing ability to abstract, to in essence have the voice in the head, and it can become a distraction. It can become an egoic
it usually is a distraction.
veil.
Yeah.
But it also is the very powerful way of becoming aware of, because if you allow your consciousness to expand to the point where you are able to observe yourself without judgment, to become aware of, all these things which are trying to influence me and take over and become in an unconscious way my drivers and actors, like you said, hunger or anger or whatever, the things that are around you that kind of trying to drive you around unconsciously, to allow yourself to become aware, to expand one's consciousness to understand that these things are just a temporary hunger or a temporary emotion or whatever it may be. So the ability to as an emanation of source observe not only yourself but the whole universe around you as it exists within your consciousness. So what's happening here? We have the I am who am, who's outside of the whole universe. Maybe that there is an introspection there. There's certainly a beingness there.
Okay, I'm going to just clarify that for a second because my own interpretation of it is that the I am is nothing but introspection.
I agree with that. I'm not trying to. I agree with that. I'm not saying that it's there's a certain unique quality that is gathered both by expressing a piece of the I am into reality, into the universe, having this experiential, interlude, and then bringing that back.
Right. Well, being a unique spark down here, and we are all very unique.
Ex-
Very,
essentially unique, right?
yes.
Essentially unique.
That is the baseline of each and every person. You are so unique that your experiences are important to creation. Whether you believe it or not, whether somebody else is going to validate you, a lot of people believe that they're only important, validated.
Well,
and that's not who you are.
no.
Your very existence here as a unique individual is very, very precious.
Well, and essential, and it. See, the words start to fail when you start to try and go through these concepts, but the I am, the all, expresses itself into a temporal limited creation form as a unique being. Even if there was no other unique being in the whole universe, it would still be separate from the I am. So there's at least that relationship of your unique being within creation becoming aware that it is within creation, that literally it can experience the incredible power of being aware of itself, of being able to introspect and become aware that consciousness encompasses the universe and that the I am is separate from it, that you have yourself, the I, and the all. Even if that was the only relationship you had, that's enough. Now, of course, it's far vaster than that. You have hundreds of millions, if not billions, of entities and down in this creation who each one of us is unique. Each one of us is as precious as the other. We know this at a visceral level. Why is your life so incredibly precious? Because it's your life and no less precious than anyone else's life, but no more precious either. And that's something that you have to come to, that
Yeah.
every one of us is as precious, but no more precious than any other entity in this existence.
We have a tendency to want to make a hierarchy of importance.
All the time.
And when you realize that tendency does exist, ask yourself the question, why? Why is that happening? Why do I do that? Why do I have to make this list of this person is more important than that person? What is it based on?
And even becoming aware of that is so far along the path to enlightenment. The subtlest thing, when something happens to you and people say, why me? And then if the thing that you learn through this awareness of consciousness and looking at yourself and in essence thinking about that particular sentiment, why me? If you open yourself up, allow the space and say, why not me? It suddenly becomes a powerful way towards becoming a consciousness aware of the universe, because the why not me is, well, everyone else is as important or as precious as you. And that means that nobody uh, un is untouchable,
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has any less um, right or presence or beinghood to live and not. You say, well, why me? Is You're saying, well, why is this coming to me? Why not this guy? Why
Well,
not
I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve
This
it.
is what I mean by putting one
And
person.
there's the hierarchy.
Yes, your hierarchy is there. Well, I don't deserve it. I didn't do anything bad.
Right. That
I,
statement right there everyone goes, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
No, that's not right.
No, but that's the feeling. Okay?
That's the feeling.
That
Yeah.
is the feeling. Like, wait, no. I've been obeying the rules.
I've been good.
Right. In your eyes, you've been very good. Uh, And of course, Christmas is around the corner. Who
I've been
knows?
very good, Santa.
Yeah, who knows what Santa thinks about you? But when you realize,
Ask the elf on the shelf.
oh, let's not go into this now. When you realize that your existence is much, much more than what you're thinking in that moment. In other words, when you say, why me? You basically feel that it's all, my life is supposed to be all good. It's supposed to act this way. If it does act this way, then it's good. So when inevitably it doesn't act the way you want it to, sitting there going, why is it bad? I must have done something bad, or it's got to be somebody else's fault. I'm miserable right now. But I'd like to point out, especially throughout the show, you realize that this is not heaven. But you look at the world and realize as if things, because when I'm not talking about blaming or just observing much good and much. So life is not going to be easy for you.
Or for anyone.
No problems. But that's not what we're down here experiencing. Reality. Mm-hmm. So we just take the next step, whatever it may be. Not sit back. The previous show we had, you were dwelling on the past. Or relying only on the future.
Yeah.
You're in a state of either depression or worry.
Anxiety, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you have to choose not to embrace either of those. Isn't that an interesting thought? You have to decide that you're not going to stay in the state of depression where you're thinking about everything bad and what could have been, or worry about what could happen and what could go wrong. You got to make a decision. It's like, I'm going to live right now. Because right now,
Never bad.
Mm-hmm.
But so that coming to that awareness. So, okay. So the I am, let's say that it is all introspection, but the important thing about coming into the limited temporal form is to preserve or to become aware that your consciousness is precious, that the moment of now is the most important moment, that the past is immutable, that the future is unknown, that when things happen, the proper sentiment is, why not me? It's exactly where I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And as Margaret just said, none of it's ever bad. In the sense that people judge, I don't like this moment. They're really saying, I don't want to be. I don't want to be at all. The moment that you have is never bad because you're being in it. And once you open yourself up to that, you also open yourself up to the channel of grace to say, because this moment is happening and I am being in it, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I can ask for, is there something that I must do? Not to fix things. People say, well, can I have something to fix it? No, because fixing things implies that somehow it's broken. It's not broken. It just is. And your being in the is, which is the moment of now, your being in the is important and precious. And the why not me is because your being now is what should be happening. And if you then open yourself up in consciousness and awareness to the whole universe, there may be something that you're supposed to do. There may be nothing, but in opening yourself up and becoming aware and introspection of awareness, you get that message.
Well, yes. Yes. You can start with the question, why is the moment of now so important? And it is the understanding that this is the only way you can reach into eternity. You can't reach into eternity if you're looking in your past. And you can't reach into eternity if you're projecting into the future. This is the only moment that you can reach past all boundaries and make an experience that is written in eternity. And it's usually written with a great deal of love.
I think only love, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I'd like to bring up is that the question of why not you? Why not you? Instead of why me? Why not you? That is actually the concept of being able to live in this space between breaths, the space between words, that background space, when you realize the fullness of creation. You must have this space around you so that the word, the sound, the frequency can have expression. So when you go into the why not me, you're broadening your field of perception and allowing for possibilities to exist. It's like one step down from the decoherence. And it's actually fascinating if you begin to realize that your consciousness is participating with all of this. All of it. And the fullness of the experience. Because once you begin to, be the word, the analogy that pops in my head is looking at an orchestra. And you have all your sections. You have your brass, you have your woodwinds, you have your strings, and you have the conductor. And each of these sections is an expression of who you are, or could be. Maybe that's a better way to put it. And when you become acquainted with what is capable in each of these sections, you begin to identify how they express the instrument, the feeling, the emotion. And you begin to realize how they can all play together to express the fullness of the song that's being expressed. And you are its conductor. So you do need to take stock of what is available to you within your very being, how vast it actually is. How many different aspects of you there are: the drums, the timpanis, the bells. It's just you are marvelous in your ability to be a full creation. And you gotta want to create, you gotta want to sing your song.
And I love that because, okay, the symphony, the song, it being the conductor is you are in the moment of now, because that's where the conductor is, in the moment of now, conducting the symphony, realizing that the symphony is infinite. But more than that, the conductor is both being carried by the music as well as deciding what is the next thing that is going to be played. That's free will, but in the moment of now, you can't go back and fix the note that you just played, nor can you play more notes than are right now available to be played. But you get to choose what note of all the ones that could be played in the whole symphony. Margaret just described all the sections. Well, every section can play a billion notes. You have to choose what note each section plays as they play it together into the harmony of your song, your choice, your moment of now, and, your you are in that moment. Nothing, no note that you choose to play is wrong. No thing that's happening is somehow bad.
Well, in other words, you really can't do it wrong.
Right. And there's no, there's no why me. It's why not me. It's your song.
Yes, you can try it and see, well, do I like this?
Right.
Is this actually expressing what's in the depths of my soul?
And in awareness, you can do that.
And participating in that incredible creative moment, that expression where the soul is singing. There's a fullness of expression when the soul sings. There is a fulfillment is about the only word I can think of.
A wholesomeness.
A wholeness, because you are experimenting with the combinations of the different aspects of who you are and how they come together. And you have a lot of different movements in your song, many different aspects of your creation. It's a marvelous thing. And
Well,
you are at liberty to experiment and play so that you find, you know what? This phrase, this is what I want to sing right now.
with intention. And, just to bring it back, what you see in this cell is a piece of or a reflection of the symphony which you will express in the moment of now. This uniqueness that you see here carries throughout the whole, right?
The patterning that expresses itself across the surface of the cell in that moment of inception. That expression is who you are, and there's nothing but light that emanates from it in that moment.
It's the first note of your song.
And it's wonderful. And we have reached the end of our hour.
The end of our song. And I'm Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret. And thank you for listening.